Hi, Matt. How are you?
Great, Greg. How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Not in the same room, but I feel like we're gaining on it. We're getting closer and closer. We're almost out of this thing.
That sounds great, man. I look forward to it and giving you a nice, big, hearty handshake.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Same here. And man, a very extraordinary movie. Here's your guy that really hadn't had the best relationship with his daughter. She gets in trouble over in France. He decides to go over and help her. And for some reason, it just kind of like, just seems like everything begins to all of a sudden, I guess you could say, make a left turn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a movie that you can predict where it's gonna go. Like I hope it's not sold too much as a thriller because it's really not. It's more like a drama, it's about this guy trying to help, and he doesn't really have the skills that, where in like a Liam Neeson movie, he would say like, I have a very specific set of skills. And you're like, yeah, this is not that guy. And it's not that movie at all. This guy doesn't have any of the skills. He doesn't speak the language. He doesn't understand the culture. He's from a very different, he's a roughneck from Oklahoma. And so he doesn't know what's kind of going on a lot of the time. And he just wants to help his daughter because he carries all this pain and shame and grief around his relationship with her and the ways in which he's failed her in the past. So that's really the jumping off point for the movie.
Right. And then also, you meet this very lovely lady and her daughter who take you in, help you out, do the translation. And it's almost like you can see where he almost wants to make up for what happened with his daughter with the little girl in the relationship.
Exactly. That's exactly right. He ends up having this relationship with this 8-year-old girl, this father-daughter relationship that he didn't have with his own daughter. And so the movie's really about a guy who kind of by the end of the movie gets what he thought he wanted and what he wanted at the beginning of the movie. But he's a very different person by the end of the movie.
Yep. And dare say, like you mentioned, your daughter, she's in prison over there for murder. She says she didn't do it. And just with the investigation and different things that your guy does, I mean, we just find out a lot of different things. Obviously, we want people to see the movie to see this, but it's just a whole interesting ride because I was sitting next to my friend Jennifer, and a lot of times during the movie, honestly, Matt, we're going, did you see that?
Right.
Whoa, you see that coming? It's that type.
Yeah, it takes a lot of different twists and turns, and yeah, I defy you to be able to know where it's going, right?
Right.
Which is the fun of it, but it's very real throughout. Like you really believe these people are, they're three-dimensional people kind of doing their best, and I find that really relatable.
And talk a little bit about also just even shooting in France. That had to be. I talked to Tom, and he said he loved it because he enjoyed the food.
Yeah, the food and just the whole life there in Marseille is an incredible city. It's a very, very specific type of city with incredible history and culture, and it's just it was a great place to set this because it's in such contrast to the world that my character Bill comes from, which is also very specific, a very specific geographic locale in our country, where all that roughnecking work is. And so a roughneck wouldn't really have a reason to get out of there. And suddenly this guy finds himself transplanted to, I mean, might as well be Mars really for this guy. But it's a real look. It's not like a kind of a quirky Hollywood fish out of water story. It's a real look at a real person in this real place.
That's for sure. Matt, it's always a pleasure seeing you. And like you said, look forward to seeing you in person. And I remember one time you told me your dad and your brother were born in Detroit, so that makes you a fellow Detroiter. So my fellow,
That's right.
Always a pleasure.
All right, Greg. Good to see you.
You too, man. Take care. Hi, Abigail. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
And enjoyed seeing in this movie, even though it's one of those where your character's in trouble. She's in jail over in France for a murder she claims she did not commit. And next thing you know, here comes her dad who wants to come in and help. But needless to say, in regards to their relationship, he was never pretty much father of the year, was he?
No, I don't think so. No, they have an obviously very strained relationship, and it's kind of awkward for both of them. But that's what makes it so difficult. She's really only has one choice of somebody to help her, and unfortunately, it's somebody that she doesn't really trust too much.
Right. And this is just one of those movies where when you first see it, when it first starts out, of course, you already start, putting things in your mind about where you think it's going to go. And you think, okay, I've got act 1, 2, and 3 figured out. I just want to see how they get there. Needless to say, this is a whole different ride of a movie for people to watch and understand.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was one of my favorite things about it, is that there really is no bad guy per se. I think that there's a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of huge mistakes and mess ups that happen. But I think at the heart of it, they're all really trying to do their best given the circumstances.
Right, because even talked with Matt about, like we said, how his character understood how he kind of messed up with you as the daughter, but then now the lady who he meets over there, he kind of like is almost trying to make up with her daughter for the mistakes he made with your character.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's, I think that's why it's kind of about redemption in some ways. And that's what kind of breaks my heart about it too, is that, she's kind of getting to see him live out what really should have been their relationship with somebody else. And I think that just makes it even more tragic.
I've known a lot of kids, who've been in that situation before, not as deep as your character, but yeah, where the parent gets divorced, they see what they're doing, with the other one, and it's like, hey, what happened with me back in the day?
Yeah.
How could you forget? Then also on the happier side, talk a little bit about shooting in France. What was that like?
It was incredible. I mean, Marseille is such an interesting and unique city. It's definitely not comparable to anywhere else that I've ever been to. It's completely its own entity. And getting to film at Les Baumettes as well, the prison that it actually takes place in, was just, I think, invaluable for all of us to kind of get a serious vibe of what that would be like. So it was amazing to film there.
Right. And like I said, yeah, but very interesting movie. I can't wait for other friends to see it so we can do our usual discussion. That's always the best part after a movie like this.
Exactly. So true.
To talk about it. Abigail, thank you so much. Good seeing you, and you take care.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
I'm very well, sir. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you.
Good.
Gotta say, here you are, you're director, producer, writer, craft services guy for this movie. You did pretty much every darn thing that a person could do.
It's the joy of the job. No, this one, I will say, the craft services, I had nothing to do but enjoy it, because most of it was in France and their craft service is off the charts.
Oh, that sounds great.
Truly great.
Well, gotta say, I mean, this is one of those stories where, like a lot of times when you see any movie, you think right from the beginning, okay, you know which way it's going to go, and more than likely what's going to happen, and da 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 da. You take us on a really, really great ride into wow. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, thank you. I think, one thing we were talking about early on, the writers and I started this movie 10 years ago. I reapproached it with 2 French writers. I thought we got to reimagine this whole story. And I think one of our guiding principles was podcast culture, quite frankly, and listening to podcasts like S-Town and Serial and a few others that were just tremendous podcasts, and think, wow, it's really great how these stories just sort of drift in directions that make sense for character and the world that they're in, but they constantly surprise us in subtle ways. And ultimately we drift further from shore before circling back. And that's something we were really considering as screenwriters when we started, really fleshing out the story of like, let's let it go where it needs to go. Let's not be constrained by genre here. Let's move beyond genre. Like, we've all seen all the thrillers. We've seen the thriller of an American dad going abroad to get his daughter out of trouble. We've seen it. It was done really well. I liked it. I didn't want to make it again. I wanted to kind of challenge his audience's cinematic perception of that and push the story somewhere else.
I got to say, you did a darn good job. So
thank you, sir.
I was sitting next to my
friend.
I'm
still fired up about it.
Good. Sitting next to my friend Jennifer yesterday in the theater, and honest to God, there are just certain parts I'm shocked we don't have black and blue arms. We're both just going, oh my God, do you know?
That's music to my ears, man. It was just trying to like find those moments that made sense, and also that kind of made you lean into the human aspect of the story and the sort of unexpected dimensionality of all these characters, including Bill Baker, who seems, as you know, in Matt's terrific performance, pretty locked down, how he starts to open up and change and be affected by not only the people, but the country around him.
I got to say, right, you had so many great actors in this movie. And one who really stood out to me is the little girl. I mean, she was
Yeah.
just perfect in the role she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I was trying to cast that role, 8-year-old French girl, for months. Saw a lot of amazing young girls in Paris and different parts of France. And then one day got a call that this girl walked into the casting office in Marseille, and my casting director down there, Anne, said, "You got to get down here. I don't know where this little girl comes from, but somehow she gets it." And she did. She really did. Day one on set, we shot the first scene where her and Matt meet, and Matt walked off set and he looked at me, he goes, "Oh, so it's going to be like that, is it?" And I said, "I think it's going to be like that. I think she came fully baked. She has the soul of a 50-year-old in an 8-year-old body, and just incredibly present." And that relationship, I think, between Matt and that young girl is really at the heart of the movie. It's really the heart of the beating heart of the movie in some ways, and unexpectedly so.
That's for sure. Tom, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the movie. Great talking with you, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
You too. Love all the tchotchkes, man. I wish I was there to take them in a little bit more.
Great. For the next one, you got it.
All right. All right.
Take care.
Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Bonjour, Camille. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Nice to meet you.
A pleasure meeting you. And I feel like I know you, to an extent after seeing this movie. It's your character is very compelling. I mean, just really kind of pulls you in. And here she is, this nice lady, single mom, taking care of her daughter the best she can. She meets this guy who needs some help, but boy, I don't think she could have ever imagined how much help he needed. Do you?
Yes, exactly. You're completely right. And I think she gets into it, even when she offers to help at the beginning. It's like, it's because that's how she is. If she sees someone in trouble, she's like, "Do you need help?" But the minute after, she's almost regretting it, like, "Oh, why am I getting into that?" But it's too late. And I think when she understands who he is and what he's experiencing as a father, she relates to him, because she's somebody who has a lot of empathy. So, but yes, I think it's a beautiful character. You mentioned the single mom, and I was very touched. I mean, it was important for me to embody a single mom, because I think there are so many single moms fighting, and they are, everyday heroines, and we don't talk about them that much. But it's a beautiful tribute to those women who are really strong, definitely really, really strong.
Absolutely. Raised by a single mom from 8 years old up. So yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
Yeah.
And this is one where, when you first watch it, you see what the premise is at the beginning. You think, okay, this is going to be, you're going to know how to follow along and figure things out. Not even close.
Yeah, it's the movie is very surprising, because we can say, with the trailer, that it starts like a thriller, and then suddenly it starts taking off many layers and getting to the substance of what it wants to talk about and what it says. And I think Tom McCarthy has this very unique way of filming humanity and getting so close to the character and so intimate with his character. And so, yes, I think this is one of the strengths of the movie, is that it surprises you.
Yeah, you're right. Because absolutely, I mean, you feel for each character. I mean, just with whatever they're going through, even the little girl, with things that were happening with her, it's kind of like, I feel you, I want to be there to help you myself. But yeah, it's just this whole interesting ride, and just the way, things happen. It's like, never would have seen that. Not even close.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It's true. It's true. I remember when I was reading the script, and I kept being surprised that the memory is quite vivid. And then when I saw the movie, it's just because then there's something that was added in the way Tom and Massa, the DP, worked together, and how they managed to create this intimacy. And you do not expect that in the movie. And also how he filmed Marseille. The eyes he has on the eyes, the look he lays on Marseille is very unique, very just, very true, I think. And this is surprising, because it's so close to reality, and at the same time it has the poetry that he sees in it. So
Nope, absolutely. Camille, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, and enjoyed the movie very much.